I'm pale, so my chin blends into my neck.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
No, because then it looks like there's no, like, it looks like there's rolls.
Yeah, but if it blends in, it's just the neck.
Right, but it doesn't look like a neck. It doesn't look like there's a neck there. It looks like this.
No, it doesn't look like that. Don't do that again. Don't do that. Scary.
It looked like a Shrek and drag.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna post a picture of me and Hazel laying down, looking up at the camera, because I did that one of me and Mabel too. So I was gonna do one of me and Hazel, and I was gonna say, "Look, you can't even see our third chins."
And you decided not to do that?
I ran out of time.
I did see the pictures you guys posted. They're super cute.
They are.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Sound Pollution. We should have done that earlier. Oh, well.
We should not have, or we should have?
We should have said welcome to Sound Pollution earlier. We need to get better. It's fine.
Hi, welcome to Sound Pollution. I'm Uncle Brent. And with me, as always, is my favorite co-host, and your favorite co-host, too, Ranelle.
Yeah, I even have war paint on today.
Says it all.
Ruh says it all. Like raw?
No, raw.
Oh, raw. Oh, okay. Wow.
I'm tired. I couldn't muster up all the grit that's required to do the R part of it. Anyway, thanks for joining us today. Today, we will be speaking with Ivan.
From Minorarc.
From Minorarc, or Minorarc.
And several other projects as well.
Yes.
And this actually gives me that opportunity that I was talking about. I really need to thank Pan. I interviewed him with Sound Animal quite a while ago, and he keeps, sending people to us. And I just want to take this moment to really thank him. Ivan is one of those people that was put on our radar, really because of Pan, and also should thank Sound Animal, because we wouldn't have met Pan without Sound Animal. So I just want to take this moment to say thank you.
Can I take a moment to thank him too?
Yeah, do it. Thank him all the way.
Pan, I just want to thank you so much. You're such a critical part of our process and what we do and who we do it to. We appreciate it. Keep smiling, keep shining, knowing you can always count on me. Thank you.
Got a friend in me. I don't know whether he's gonna love that or want to kill me.
You gotta leave it in there. Whatever you do, you gotta leave it in there. You just gotta let that shit lie.
That's what she said.
Mm-hmm. I would like to say that we're interviewing Ivan today from Minorarc. He's got an interesting past and hopefully a good future, but we'll find out more as we dig into it. And
he's also interviewing me for his blog, Dark Stereo, which is online, and so make sure you click on those links below. Mine's not up yet, but he's interviewed a lot of really cool people.
Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, let the Kraken in.
Hello.
Hey, dude, what's up, man? So, Ivan, who are you and what do you want?
Oh, wow. Let's start small. Who am I? I'm a solo musician in Australia. Been playing music for, a long time. Don't want to give away my age straight away.
That's fair. We all do that, yeah.
I studied music as a child, pretty much exclusively classical, violin, a little bit of piano, but piano didn't really work out for me for some reason. Not sure why, but that changed later on, of course. So a lot of study, a lot of playing in orchestras and things in our small town here, Canberra. We're the capital city of Australia, but most people probably still think Sydney is. So we're about a bit under 500,000 people here. It's a fairly bubble-like place, you could say. We're inland. There aren't a lot of live music venues. So, yeah, it's kind of an isolated existence here. So studied music at school and then kind of stopped after persistent kind of pain in my neck from overexposure to the violin, pointing your neck at one angle constantly, being expected to practice for, an hour a day, all those things that aren't very fun. So I stopped. And then my father used to make instruments part-time just for himself.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's awesome. What kind of instruments?
Oh, he made his first guitar in the early 70s. He loved playing classical guitar. So he's built probably 3 or 4 over his lifetime, but he made a specific one that came apart into pieces to travel with. He brought that over from the UK to Darwin in the 70s, and the poor thing suffered from the humidity a bit. But I still got that here. I still play it occasionally. Basically, the wood cracked around the sides, but we've done our best to repair it.
How does it break down? I'm sorry.
He can't help himself.
How does it break down? Can you show me that? This doesn't have to be on the podcast. Just humor me. Sorry.
We can describe it in words somehow. So
because the thing
the top of the neck.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a hinge under here. I don't know if you can see that.
I can see that.
So that whole section folds back. You have to take the strings off, of course.
Okay.
So that bit folds back on itself. And then here, the entire neck just slides out. There's actually a groove under there. So it comes apart into 2 pieces, and it's...
You don't have nylon strings on that, dude.
I do.
You do? They look like they're steel from where I'm at. Oh, there they are. Okay.
Yeah, got the blackies on the bottom there.
Yeah.
What is it, about 17 inches in size?
Yeah, that's nice.
The body.
That would make traveling so much easier.
So this fits in the suitcase when it's broken down.
That's sweet. So have you played other guitars, and have you noticed a sound difference between that guitar and other guitars? Because, see, I would be afraid that if I had one that broken down, that it wouldn't resonate sound as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have problems with that, that guitar?
I guess I use the DAW to clean up the mess it makes sometimes.
Okay.
I just stick a $20 contact mic on that and just clean up the signal afterwards. Now, he also has a 1970s Kono classical guitar made in Japan in the 70s, which is a beautiful-looking instrument, but for some reason when I play it, it sounds worse than this one that's almost falling apart. I think it's to do with the scale length or something. I've got quite short fingers and short arms, so for some reason this travel guitar just works better.
You know what? I bet you make up for it with enthusiasm.
Oh, I hope so.
So back to how you got started with music. Was there like a moment for you where you were like, okay, yeah, violin's cool, all that's neat, but I want to do my own thing over here? When did that moment happen?
Oh, probably in my late teens. I was going out like a lot of teenagers do to live music and pubs and clubs and things like that. And I was really enjoying a lot of the music. I discovered there was a bit of an underground Gothic industrial culture here in Canberra. And there were a couple of, there was an Irish pub that played a lot of alternative music, that sort of thing. So that was around the early 90s when I guess the grunge scene was breaking out. It was always in my mind from then on that, I'd really like to try and record something or be in a band one day.
So that's really cool that you got. So it was like early was it late 80s, early 90s, or pretty much early 90s?
Don't make him give his age away.
Late 80s, I might have started to explore Pink Floyd and a few things like that. But early 90s was, I guess, goth industrial. I used to go to a local record shop pretty regularly, maybe 4 or 5 times a week. And I just pick out music off the shelf and look at the album cover and go, I'm going to go home and see what this is. So I discovered more, I guess, metal through that, doom metal, the early, I don't know, it's strange. A lot of this early music that I just picked out at random and started to really enjoy are now perhaps considered sort of the beginnings of the genres they created. Bathory, for example, Solitude Aeternus. one of the first cassettes I bought was Images and Words by Dream Theater, just because I thought, wow, look at that album cover. That's crazy. I've got to listen to this. Ministry, before they got rather huge. Yeah, I don't know. Just felt like different days then. You just walk into a record store and check the section that was related to your genre and pick something out at random.
That? Does anybody else miss that?
I miss record stores because when I was a kid, we lived out in the country, and so when I would save up all my pennies and money and stuff I stole from everybody, and then I would go to the record store, and I would literally be in there for like 3 hours trying to pick out one tape, one CD, one record. And it was tough because I knew that I had to listen to this. This would be all I had other than radio. And I was a little heavier edged, a lot heavier edged at that point in time because I had some issues. But
we all did.
But so I would like, you know, it was a big decision. It was probably one of the biggest decisions I had to make as a kid is what music am I going to buy? And I'm talking like an 11-year-old, not 20-year-old. I just bought everything. I would just walk in and I want this, I want this, I want that, you know. But when you're little, it's like, you know, and you
it's
only
a bigger deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it was humongous, and it's totally shaped how I listen to music. And so I'm kind of glad that I had that experience. What was your experience like? You're talking about, oh, I did a bunch of classical, then I had neck problems, so I just decided to go all in and go for heavy metal. How did your brain go, I don't want to listen to classical anymore? And Pink Floyd is a good stepping stone because they're not
a gateway.
Pink Floyd is like the gateway drug to many different genres of music.
I guess another gateway for me was Marillion, UK progressive band, progressive rock, I guess you'd call it. I really loved them. As a kid, I would collect their CDs and arrange them chronologically on the shelf.
That was me, too.
Fish Era especially, yeah.
So when did you decide that you wanted to start writing that kind of music? Like, how did that happen?
I guess when technology made it possible for me to do it in a way that was affordable. In the early 90s, I was just a poor student, pretty much, doing the 2-minute noodle thing and trying to get through university, maybe delivering pizzas on the weekend in an old car.
That seems very familiar.
Going to gig and seeing someone with a Marshall amp was like, wow, that would take me 20 years to save up for. But then when I guess it became more or easier to record onto a computer, when CD-ROMs became a thing and you could actually just burn your own discs instead of paying a small fortune for someone else to do it. I think that was what really changed it for me. Just the ability to take it from beginning to end on your own accord without needing to be signed or, you know, a large amount of money behind you to get things going.
So you played violin, you tried piano, didn't work out so well, but you went back to it and now you play piano, keys, and synth. Is there anything else that you play? What other instruments do you play? Because there's a lot of going on your album. Like, I was wondering, you know, are the strings real? So what other instruments do you play? And then who do you contract out with to do the other parts that you don't, you know, that you're too good for?
So I got a 7-string electric here, just a PRS SE. That's a guitar I must have bought about 10 years ago or so. And I just refuse to get rid of it. For some reason, it just works for me. There's a bass guitar here, just an Ibanez ATK. I've only had that maybe 2 years now. So I had to play that on the album, of course. Being a new instrument, you kind of fall in love. This breakdown classical guitar is in there. And other hardware, there's an Oasis QSR rack synth here, which is where the piano sounds come from. That synth actually belongs to an old friend of mine who I met in Japan. He was a bit of a synth collector. Mm-hmm. He makes synthwave music now. But he basically said, "Oh, you should just keep this, man." So I've had it ever since.
Nice. Score, free instrument.
That
Here,
was-
you
that was a
should
good-
keep it. Okay.
That was a good deal.
Drums? Do you play drums?
No, the drums are programmed. So synth-wise, you could maybe go it's a 50-50 split between hardware. There's a Korg microKORG here on the desk as well, and VST instruments. But the drums are all VST. Some of the guitar is VST. I like to mix mechanical with organic sound. You probably noticed some of the piano is MIDI and some of it is played in live. I like to play around with just the differences in doing that. No outsourcing as such with the instruments. I've just done it all here at home.
So this was all home recorded.
Yep.
That is really cool because it comes off very clean, very professional. How would you describe your sound to somebody who hasn't heard it before?
Sort of an amalgamation of classical piano, maybe some prog rock guitar styles, and then branching out into djent and I guess some flavors from new metal as well.
I like how you blend the genres, you blend the different sounds, you kind of bend them to your will. How did you come up with that sound?
It just happens.
It just happened.
So when I record a song, I don't plan ahead of time. I don't work out, a verse chorus structure. I don't decide what key it's going to be in. All I know is what kind of feel of intro I want to go for, and I just put that in, and then the rest I just let happen kind of as it wants to. So I let the music decide. So at some point I'll go, I'm getting bored now, I want to add something heavy.
And then you just kind of do it.
And then I just chug something in and see what happens.
So the thing I like about I'm a guitar guy, so I love guitars. I mean, guitar, acoustic, classical, metal, progressive, whatever. I love guitar. The cool thing about your stuff is because I listened to some of the songs from, Palace of Crystal and A Breath's Short Path, but I also listened to Monolith of Clay and A Brief Afterthought. There are some in there when you have like this super heavy guitar part, but you pull back everything else. It's like if you were to open up someone's chest and you could see everything inside of it. And that's kind of what you do in parts of it with the guitar. And so do you hear that in your head, or are you just screwing around and going, okay, I'm going to move this here, I'm going to do this? Or, when you're working in the DAW, are you just flying around and messing with your levels and stuff like that? How do you decide to pull off everything and add everything back? What directs that?
Oh, that's a tricky one to answer. I feel like it just happens. It's almost dictated by how my ears are feeling at that time. So if I start feeling like a section of the music's gone on a bit long and I want to add a real black-white contrast, it just feels like it should happen. So I just drop it in. I love fading instruments in and out with each other as well. I used to do that very gently in early music. I'd spend quite a few seconds with instruments fading so something else can come in. Whereas the last couple of years, I've just gone, bang, I'm cutting that bar there and I'm going to do something more abrupt.
I actually hear the transition that you're talking about. And yeah, it may not take as long, but I hear like right up to the point I was like, oh, something's going to happen here. So I get ready. And then you break into something else. And you do a cool job too of, you almost treat it like it is like a quartet of some sort, where you have your parts cross over each other and take the melody and rhythm. It's very aerobic, I guess, because even with your piano and keys parts, you have them lay on top of each other and they like hand off the melody or hand off the spirit of the song. And so I really like that about what you did too.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's cool. See, I've never thought about it this way because, it takes an external listener to kind of identify things you don't really even notice yourself when you're doing this. Some of this might even be a symptom of I've never been very comfortable at mixing. I wouldn't consider myself very good at it at all. So sometimes if it's getting really thick and muddy, I'll just subtract instruments out to get it clean again rather than spend a few weeks trying to fiddle with, sidechain compression and all that fancy stuff. So it's maybe a mixture of the way I work and also the things I'm not very good at.
Palace of Crystal was really awesome. It starts out, it's minor key, right? It starts out minor key.
I think so. I think you find I rarely play in major keys intentionally.
No, and I love that. That's another jazz component you use. It's almost like, let me see what I can do with these minor notes.
If it sounds happy, something's wrong.
It comes on really dark. Are the string parts, it sounds like you have like actual strings playing. Are you using a synth or is it actual string work?
That one has a mixture of the both. So there's a VST synth, and I also recorded a bit of violin in, and I probably just kind of blended them together a bit just for fun.
That is so badass.
I don't like playing violin at home because everyone can hear, obviously. That video was filmed in a small rehearsal studio here in Canberra. So I just took the violin with me and tracked it at the same time.
So Palace of Crystal is on Untold, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And then you have Palace of Silt on Overburden.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about how those two are related?
Or are they related?
Yeah.
I guess I wanted them to be related. Whether they end up that way or not is up to the listener. Yeah, I feel like they're maybe sister tracks to each other. Maybe not in the way they sound, but in perhaps the mood I was in when I laid them down. And it made the title easier to follow a theme rather than have to think of something new.
I really like what you do and how you think about the titles. I mean, maybe you don't think about the titles, but it's funny how they're related and they can be two totally musical separate pieces. They're related at the same time. It's just funny. It's real cool.
Oh, thank you. Those two Afterthought tracks were literal afterthoughts. So the album was done with 8 tracks. And then one night I thought, I'm sick of mixing and mastering and all that stuff. I don't want to sit on Facebook all night. So I might just have a fiddle and see what happens. And went, oh, there's another track maybe. So a couple of weeks pass and there's 2 more tracks. And I thought, well, I better slap them on the end. Otherwise, they probably won't be released for at least another year or maybe 10 years. Who knows?
Is the Overburden album like a overflow of songs that you did not include on Untold? I mean, is that kind of how that happened, where you're like, shit, I have too much music, I need to put it on Overburden? And then when you got frustrated with mixing and mastering, you write 2 more songs, which totals another 14 minutes that needs to go on to the album.
And then you have to mix and master them. Not really. Untold was finished, mastered. I wanted to put it to bed. So I just started recording again, not knowing what would happen, but I found that I was still in the same kind of groove, and it was actually a lot easier to produce or to create than Untold was. It just all came very quickly. So I thought, oh, well, there we go, we've got a companion album. So Overburden took me, I think, about 3 months to do, whereas Untold took 2 years.
Wow.
Tell me a little bit about A Breath's Short Path.
I've always liked, I guess, fairly simple, classical sort of style tracks mixed in with things that are heavy. That might be going back to Solitude Aeternus and the Doom days, where there'd be a couple of instrumental tracks that were quite short mixed in with an album. I still like that feeling. But I guess also on your first listen, you're never sure what's coming up, and just to switch things around occasionally. I still believe in listening to albums start to finish rather than picking out individual tracks and putting them in a playlist or whatever. Just start to finish, especially if it's a concept album as well. But occasionally I feel like you need to give the listener a break maybe. So do 4 tracks that slowly build up, potentially hurt the ears a little bit more, and then just let it chill out. Give them 3 minutes of peace before you continue on, that sort of thing.
So when I was listening to that song, I thought, now I could be wrong, but I thought that it had kind of a oriental feel to it at the beginning, some of the melody that was being played. Did you mean for that to happen, or am I just like imagining things? It was like I couldn't decide if it was the tone of the instrument playing the melody, or if it was the progression in notes being played.
I wouldn't have thought of that, Brent, until you said that. I didn't get that at all, but now that you said it, I'm like, yeah.
It's very subtle. It's very subtle, at least at the intro, but then there's this tone and this progression.
It's the tone.
Is it? Because I was like, this hasn't. And then
poor Ivan, he's just sitting there while we're like, no, that's what it is, man. It's his music. We're just like, no,
I don't really have an answer for that one. I listen to a fair bit of world music as well. I like Bliss in particular, that use all kinds of, I guess, cultural sounds and ethnic sort of instruments. So maybe I was going through a phase like that at the time.
I'm a writer too. I don't write stuff like you. Mine's a little more basic, kind of like a 5-year-old writes. When I write a song, it pulls from different genres, different decades, different bands, and stuff that if you would have tried to put it together just on its own, it wouldn't go together. It needed me to be stuck together. Like I play some stuff that sounds like Metallica, but then I'll find a way to put do you know who the Black Crowes are?
Oh, yes. Yep.
I find a way to put in a part that sounds Black Crowish, or the song Dreamweaver, some tones from that will make it into it or something. So then you'll have these 3 totally different things living in one area. Do you do that a lot? Because I hear that in your writing. Like in that song specifically, I was like, oh, a slap bass would be great right here. Do you hear that stuff too?
Yeah, I think I can relate to you on that. for sure. The first track on Untold, there was a section, I think about halfway through, where it starts building up, which I recorded it and I thought, ooh, that sounds a bit like Pearl Jam, you know. And that's something I enjoyed many years ago when 10 came out. It's probably not cool to say that anymore, but I thought it was pretty good at the time.
Popular album.
It's a good album.
I guess you can't help but have your things you previously listened to and have stuck in your head your whole lifetime sort of emerge through your own music as well.
Yeah.
I just think that's really neat, that something that you could passively listen to, but because you heard it so much, will creep back into your life 30 years later, and your own work will be flavored by something you were passively listening to. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's interesting.
Do you find when you sleep, you wake up and you know you've been dreaming in audio, like you've been listening to music all night sort of feeling? Do you ever get that?
I do.
That question's to both of you because you're both massive music fans.
I have dreams that I can hear people cheering. Maybe that's my ego. I don't know. But like you know how a big arena sounds? So I know I was doing something or at least attending something very cool in my dreams. I'm going to take that out because I sound super egotistical.
No, that's fine.
No, I think that's cool.
I think that as far as when I'm sleeping, it can be different ways. So one way will be like I'm struggling with a song, and I'm struggling either with the music, because I do lyrics too. So I'm struggling with the lyrics, and it'll be me. I can hear everything, but I can hear it, and I'm telling myself, look, you just need to, can't you hear that? And you just need to write it. And I'll be telling myself. And then the other thing is I'm seeing something, like living a scenario, you know, like a real dream. And then the music comes out and support it, and then I'll be like, oh, well, that doesn't sound right there, let's do this. That's kind of what my mind does. My mind is like always moving stuff around, and
that's like mixing in your sleep. That sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah.
If you do it more than once, it is. See, when I dream, I do it once, and that's it.
Oh, you're done. That's it. Yep.
Do you ever do that, Ivan? Do you wake up and you're like, that's the finish to this song that I've been working out? Does it come to you in your dreams?
Sometimes I might go, oh, that was a cool melody. I really hope I remember that.
Yeah.
And I never do.
Oh.
It's gone. I'm an idiot in the morning. I mean, don't talk to me for the first 2 hours of the day.
You're like, is this coffee cup empty yet? It's not empty yet? Then shh.
I was reading up on something, and you basically said when you moved from Melbourne back home that you pretty much thought your music career was dead. Is that true?
Yeah, it was a really difficult time. I didn't feel like there was space in my life for it, to be honest. Plus, kind of limited number of venues here. I'm not really the kind of guy that likes to, I guess, try and become involved in the scene and all that. And I'm a grouch in the morning, so if I go out late too often, it becomes a bit of a problem.
Is it something that you're wanting to do where you are?
No, I'm happy to wait, actually.
What are you waiting for?
To meet with Ben again and try and work out how to perform this stuff live as a 2 or 3 piece. I have played solo before, but I don't think I can really do that anymore. Things have got a bit too complicated.
Have you thought about finding other artists to play live with you there that live near you?
It's crossed my mind, but I'll probably only be here another 12 months.
So you're going to go. So. You're going to go back to Melbourne.
Yeah, hopefully. So I'll just press the pause button. I am working with another fellow here on a symphonic metal project.
What's the name of that?
Caradris.
Okay. So we'll keep our ears open.
We've only got two songs partly written. We've never met each other. He's supplying drum parts and guitar and saying, "Hey, do you want to add some piano?" So then I just stick that in and send it back to him, and we go back and forth.
Well, you're going to have to come back on when that's done.
So how did the Dark Stereo platform happen? Because that was, I saw stuff about that too, and maybe you can just, because you kind of left that when you left Melbourne, or it modified or changed somehow. Can you kind of talk about that for a little bit, the Dark Stereo platform or site or business?
Yeah, sure. It'd be over 10 years ago now. When I was living in Melbourne, we set up a regular event, usually once every 1, 2, or 3 months. It was a little bit random that way, but it was regular in that it kept going throughout the years. We did about, I think it was 19 underground music events at our small clubs. And this was experimental noise, some industrial artists, pretty much anything goes. And a lot of the artists at that time wanted a single platform to collect the community together and promote their music. So we set up a little online music shop called Dark Stereo, which sold their CDs and digital copies of their albums. This is before streaming, probably pre-Bandcamp too, I'm not sure. I'd have to check that. Anyway, it was just a platform for these guys to let people purchase their music. That went on for a while, and then, of course, people stopped or slowed down in purchasing CDs and technology changed. I sort of left recording music for quite a while, physically relocated here, and then it was while I was here that some of these Melbourne guys said, we'd really like a place where we can get a review or an interview from someone that knows the music that we like, but is kind of an independent entity as well. So I said, well, I'd be happy to do that if people are interested. So I kind of exhumed the project and took it from there.
That's really cool, because I can tell you, I mean, and you know yourself, it's really hard, even if you're doing an experimental or if you're just doing regular stuff. Sometimes it's really hard to be a musician, and it's hard to get decent feedback, you know? Like, some people just say something, oh, that's great. Well, what was great about it? Or, I hate that. Well, what did you hate about it? You know, you're probably like, I don't think what I do is important. But I want to tell you, it is important, and it's important to people, you know, like me most definitely, but the other guys out there, because there's not a place for all of our music, you know,
especially like independent music in any way.
Yeah.
You've got like college stereo almost, and that's it.
So I think it's great what you're doing, and you're helping out people, you know, because I write a bunch of different kind of music, and if it's not branded for my band, then I can't do anything with it. You know what I'm saying? Because if I go out and play a metal song as Uncle Brent and the No Stone, they're going to be like, what the hell is this? You're supposed to be a bar band. You know, I want to hear 145. You know? So I just want to commend you on that. And I think it's important that what you're doing with that, because, yeah, you may not be able to sell CDs or stuff like that, but just giving us as musicians an outlet to do stuff. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for the thank you. I guess I feel these days in the streaming era as an independent artist, it feels a lot more difficult to get independent reviews or interviews from bloggers and sites and all kinds of things. You know, I really appreciate what you're doing right now with me and what you've done with all the people before me and the ones that will come after. I mean, it's the same boat.
We're going to quit after this podcast, man. This is it. This is the pinnacle of what we can do. We're done.
You've got much further to go, I'm afraid.
At least
I mean
get
that
back
in a
when
good
I
way.
put in it.
There are plenty more buttons out there to push, Uncle Brent. Just find the buttons.
You know, you are the person that I couldn't leave in a room with a big red button and be like, don't press that. The world will end.
I would want to see what the world ending looks like.
He'd be like, pushing the button.
I'll just do it real quick and no one will notice. And then I'll run to the other side of the room and go, what?
It wasn't me. It was not me.
Blame someone else. Do you agree that as an artist it's a lot harder now than maybe it was 10, 20 years ago?
I think it is in some ways. I think like there's all the streaming platforms. There's Spotify, there's Apple Music, there's all these other places you can put your music. You know, you're not like restricted to YouTube and LimeWire. Wow, did I age myself? I said LimeWire.
I've used it too. I still use that technology for some things.
Yeah, it's super illegal. But anyway.
You can cut that out if you want.
Nah, believe it. But it's almost like because anybody has access to do it, a lot of people are doing it. And it's almost like there's so many people in the pool, you can't tell who dropped the deuce. I don't know how else to explain it. Like you can't get to the good shit sometimes because there's so much. Not that there's not a lot of good stuff, but there's just so much. It's so inundated that you really have to pick through to find the good artists, and the good artists have a hard time reaching dark stereo or sound pollution or things. Yeah, they're all there, but there's a billion other people there too. And it's hard to be like, no, me. It's almost like it's inundated. And I think that's been bad for music. But I think it has taken a lot of power away from the major record labels. And I think that's good.
Yeah, the gatekeepers are dead.
Now, if you want me, if you really think I'm as good as, and you apparently do want me because there's all these other people who do similar things. Now you're going to have to treat me better.
I'll be honest. I mean, my music career has a bunch of things wrapped up in it, like a lot of self-doubt, self-deprecation, which, is just part of my personality at this point. But I can't really comment on in the past, because in the past, when I was younger, in my, late teens, early 20s, I had such a reverence for music. I didn't want to ruin it. So I was afraid to create. I know it sounds weird, but
it does.
And you can hear it when you talk to me how much I love music. And I just don't love one style. I'll go anywhere anyone wants to go. If it's good, I love music. So when I was younger, and my mom was a really good musician. And so I always had that. And there are certain things that she can do I'll never be able to do musically. Mentally, physically, I can't do it. But so for me, now's better because we can all release music. Even maybe the only thing that I can play is the E chord. But let's say
you can write a song with E minor.
I am AC/DC. I'm AC/DC. I'm going to play these 4 to 6 notes in 300 albums and make some of the best songs ever played to sit at a bar and drink. And I think it's great to be in that. And I'm also, a lot of my friends, when they reach a certain age, people in general, they just stop looking for music. They stop growing as people. And I think it's great that we now have the opportunity to meet people like Ivan. I would have never have found Ivan unless he would have been pointed out to me. But now I've heard Ivan. And so now when I write, I'm going to think, what would Ivan do? And I'm going to have a better song because
That's true, because there's
thinking,
more stuff.
And Elephants and Dogs and Dark Soft and the Groove Birds. All that stuff influences me because then I've heard different sonic templates and I've heard different songwriting. So I love now. Now anyone can be a rock star. And being a rock star is creating something awesome, which is what you've done, Ivan. All your shit that I listen to, it's not shit, but you know what I'm saying. All your music I've listened to is really compelling and it's really good. And I think you should be really proud of the things you've done. And as you keep building, it's going to get better. Like you working with this other guy that you've never met, y'all are going to come up with some good stuff because why? You're not going to let it be crap, and your friend, what's his name? Ben in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Y'all guys are going to get together again. It's going to be a love fest. You're going to just, you're going to generate
like an orgy. No.
You're going to generate something awesome. And 20 years ago, we could not have done that.
No, we couldn't have written with
That's
people, cities over, let alone, across the world. Hey, how did we get interviewed?
Oh, sorry.
He asked us.
How did this switch? That's too funny. Let's talk about that last track. Let's talk about Monolith of Clay. That's off the Overburden album.
Yeah.
I really liked that one. So could you talk a little bit about that song?
I'm trying to remember how it goes in my head.
You would be surprised how many people say that. That happens almost every time. They're like, wait, which song was that?
I was actually a bit nervous before this interview because I'd listened to you through your one with Nico from Say Ever.
And he's great.
And you guys, it was like you deconstructed his music to quite a strong detail. I was like, I hope they didn't do that to me because I can't remember half of what I did.
What did I tell you? He does that to everybody. He's like at 3 minutes, 12 seconds, and there's always someone panicking. I watch them panic in their little square. They're like, what?
I'll be honest. If I would have had more time, you would have gotten a lot more. I would have really pinpointed where I had questions about. Anyway, go ahead and talk about Monolith of Clay because I'm excited. I don't have a lot of questions. I just want to thank you for something on that song. So go ahead.
Oh, I don't know what. Well, I'm under pressure now. This is just another track that sort of came together on its own. From memory, it starts with a fairly ambient introduction, which is something I probably do a bit too often, but recording in an organic way without planning, it helps. I guess it helps me anyway to start with something soft and then see where it goes. Sometimes it'll continue that way and just be a short, more classical sort of piece, or it'll become something between, 4 and 10 minutes.
This was actually a 6-minute song.
Sometimes you just keep adding.
Yeah.
It's not quite there yet. Need another 2 minutes.
You want to know what I liked about this song? There are two things. One, you brought the guitar in early.
That's pretty rare for me. You probably realize that.
It is rare for you, but it turned out really well in that.
It was really cool, and I was so excited. And this is that part where you almost have the isolated guitar riff out in the forefront, which is what I was talking about, the chest, because you really highlighted not the lead, but the riff itself, and I really like that. And then the clouds opened, and the guitar solo could be heard. Thank you for the guitar solo. I love that guitar solo. It was great.
Did you play that?
Yeah.
That was you. It's really good.
When I
It's
record the
really
live
good.
instruments, I just do maybe up to 5 takes
Mhm.
on the fly. So I don't know what that solo is going to be. I just plug in a guitar and jam to the rest of the track. And after a few goes, I'll go, yep, that's good enough. We'll keep that one. That's maybe not completely honest. There are some where I do 30 takes and then I shut down the computer, but usually fairly quickly. I'm a very lazy guitarist. I'm not technical in any means. I'm not trained on guitar. I like to play a lot of open strings and then play up an octave on the 12th fret and then muddle around there in a few boxes.
It sounded really, really good.
Where can people find your music right now?
Bandcamp, and it's all on the streaming platforms as well. As of 4 days ago, I think
You're everywhere?
Went live. So yeah, just search Minorarc and it should pop up somewhere or other.
Okay.
Isn't it minorarc.com too? Don't you have it on your website too, minorarc.com?
Oh yeah, minorarc.net.
Net, that's what it was. I knew it was something weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last question I like to ask, what advice would you give someone who wanted to write music?
I'd say do it. Don't feel compromised by public opinion or whatever is trending at the current time, and just do what you think is what you were made to write.
So like write authentically and just do it.
Yeah, just do what you feel like you have to do. Try and compromise as little as possible and enjoy the process. I guess the other piece of advice would be don't feel like you're investing too much. You can invest of yourself emotionally in your music, but don't feel like you're going to have a huge return on, if you're someone that does a lot of maths and you count the hours you spend in creating something and then you expect a return that's equal to or greater than that, then that's probably the wrong mindset to have in today's day and age, unless you're very lucky. But do it because you love doing it, and consider everything that happens after that, or any feedback you can get, the opportunity to talk to people like you guys. They're all little blessings that come along afterwards. So I appreciate everything you can about anyone that's willing to invest time in listening to your stuff.
Man, that was fun.
That was a great interview. We want to thank Ivan from Minorarc for being on the show again. Make sure you click those links below. Make sure that you don't just listen to his music. Go over to Dark Stereo. Go read some of those interviews. Learn some more things about some artists that we haven't even interviewed yet. Broaden your horizons.
I would say this. Expose yourself to new music.
Exposure is key.
Oh, man, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to take some time to thank Pan again.
Oh, I thanked him in the beginning.
Can you really thank him too much?
I don't know.
Let's talk about it.
Oh my God. That was a great interview. That was a lot of fun. I was really looking forward to meeting him.
He's a nice guy.
He's very nice. He's an incredible songwriter.
He's musically. A good songwriter.
Yeah. And he's like just another one of those artists who are like, oh, it just comes to me.
I know. I hate it when they do that. I want to hear some suffering. So I guess we're telling people to download, and then when you're done downloading, download some more.
Continue to download. And hey, guys, we can tell that you have been downloading, so please keep doing it. If we can keep that up for a while, then I might be able to get paid for our efforts.
Also, have your mother download too, because she'll like the way it feels.
Brent, I don't even have words.
You don't edit that out. You need to leave that in there. That just needs to be in there.
That's what she said. Okay, everybody, we are going to end on that note. I's tired. Obviously, Brent's on a roll. You guys get out there, support your local musicians, and make some noise.